Good evening.
Can't reach the bottom.
We
of the sides.
call the meeting back to order from closed session. Mr. Attorney, do we have any report out of closed session tonight?
No, Mayor, no reportable action.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember August, Councilmember Leesmeyer,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Denver. Here. And Mayor Mann.
Here.
I will note that Mr. Edgerton is not here tonight.
Thank you very kindly. And we have Reverend Bill Freeman from Menifee United Church of Christ to deliver the invocation for us tonight. Thank you, sir.
Let us enter into a spirit of reflection, spirit of love. We are grateful for this day, and we are grateful for this time to be together to govern and to be governed by. And we pray for wisdom on the part of our leaders. And we are just thankful for the city of Menifee, now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember August, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I like that. There is no comma.
I know.
I do that too. Right.
Thank you, one and all. We have no presentations this evening. On to approval of the meeting minutes. I have one change that I caught early, and I apologize, Madam Clerk, that I didn't send it to you.
No problem.
On page 4 of the minutes from the previous meeting, on agenda item 11.2, where the minutes reflect that Councilmember August moved and that Councilmember August seconded. And I believe it was Mr. Leesmeyer that made the second. If we could pen and ink that change.
Yes.
Are there any other amendments to the minutes? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Do we have any modifications to the agenda tonight?
No, Your Honor, it's as posted.
Thank you very kindly. The agenda is approved. On to public comments. Would you please call the first public speaker?
Yes. Reverend Bill Freeman.
Wait, he already had his minutes.
I don't mean to, I didn't intend to do the prayer, as you know, but I was happy to do it, and that's why I'm here. I am the relatively new minister of Menifee United Church of Christ, and I just wanted to come and volunteer to do the prayer whenever you need somebody. And I guess I was drafted into service tonight, but I would be pleased to do it in the future. And also, if there's anything I can do for the city of Menifee or my church can do, please let me know.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Next speaker, please.
Rod Nakayama.
Good evening. There's construction that's going on Dawson and Rouse Road, and I live in the housing complex on Vanilla Court. And my concern, and some of the concerns of the residents in that area, is that construction is going to start on Monday, and no one was given notice that that was going to take place. And the concern was they're going to use Rouse Road for all the heavy equipment, from what I understand. We were able to contact Don Sharp in Public Works, and he let us know all the information because it was not on the Menifee website. So the concern that we have is that all the traffic, because that area, people do walk, they run, they jog, walk their dogs, and just with the large construction trucks going through there, we had a concern on that, and just wanted to see if the city would follow up and at least let the residents know somehow, either by a posting by the construction company with contact numbers or something.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Mr. Smith, can you briefly address this?
Yes, this is a EMWD project
and be more than happy to meet with you and get your contact information and make sure EMWD gets a hold of you and lets you know what's going on. But Don can also help you and keep you informed.
Well, the beauty of it is we also have our EMWD representative in the audience tonight, so he heard your comment, and I'm sure he'll take that back to his team as well.
Okay. I do know that a few years back, on the south side of Rouse, there was going to be a large complex of homes and development. And prior to that, all the residents in the area was given a heads up as to what was going to transpire and things like that.
We will work to do better.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Bruce Malone.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, I appreciate it. Can I hand these to the city clerk to hand out to you guys?
Sure.
Again, my name's Bruce Malone. I'm with Lions Clubs International, specifically District 405. We are looking to start a new Lions Club in Menifee. And my reason for being here is to let you know a little bit about Lions. We are the largest service organization in the world. We have over 1.35 million members. And we're in over 200 countries and geographical regions in the world. Our main focus is the preservation of sight. And we hand out, in a single year throughout the nation, we'll probably hand out almost 500,000 pairs of glasses free and do screenings for kids. We also, our clubs are autonomous. In other words, we start a club in Menifee. Menifee Lions decide what they want to do in their club. They don't necessarily have to follow the guise of the international club. So if Menifee wanted to start a sponsor Boy Scout club, they could do it. If they wanted to sponsor a Girl Scouts club, they could do it, of course, obviously. If they wanted to feed the elderly, and that's something that my club does, is we hand out groceries to the second Tuesday of every month. We hand out groceries to over 100 seniors in the valley. Anyway, that's the reason I'm here, we are having an organizational meeting on the 30th of this month at the Ryland Building at 7 p.m. And I am inviting each and every one of you and the city staff, of course, fire and police also, if you would. And that's what I'm here for. If you have any questions, please talk to me. I can stick around. That's no problem.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Malone. Next speaker, please.
Claudia Greenwood.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and citizens of Menifee, Sun City. My name is Claudia Greenwood. I'm on the Board of Directors of Sun City Canine Adoptions. Sun City Canine Adoptions, which is a charitable organization, is sponsoring a fundraiser golf tournament on Sunday, February 15th at the Golden Era Golf Course in San Jacinto. This tournament is to benefit the no-kill nonprofit shelters in our area who are in need of spay, neuter, food, and veterinary cost assistance. Sun City Canine Adoptions is also offering monetary grants to seniors and military veterans of Sun City to also cover veterinary costs for their dogs and cats. The cost for the tournament is $50 per person and includes 18-hole scramble, golf cart, lunch, and 5 raffle tickets. And we have been going throughout the city asking businesses to donate something for our raffle. And we actually have some nice raffle items. With your permission, I would like to leave some of our flyers, which include the entry forms, in the reception area, and it gives more details. Okay. In regard to the tournament. Greg, I know we're not supposed to communicate, but I have to thank Greg August,
No, I just
who,
wanted you to know I'm going to be there.
know you are. You're bringing beer.
That would be barley soda.
No, well, we're not connoisseurs of beer. People are more IPAs. We can't do that. But anyway, I want to thank Greg, though. Greg has always been supportive of Sun City Canyon Adoptions. He's been our pickup and delivery man when we used to have garage sales, which we're not doing anymore. And he's, involved in everything. And Scott, you and your mom have been to some of our events, so we look forward to seeing you there.
I shall try to be there.
Okay, so should I give these to
Yeah,
Kathy?
give them the city clerk and we'll get them out in the
Do you have any
foyer.
questions?
I do. I actually I long for the day when one of our local golf courses actually hosts this tournament on your behalf. And I know that there are finances involved with that, and, but you know what? It would be my fond hope that one of the three courses would step up and participate in this cause.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and we did do it locally, but there was cost to us. And I have to say the Golden Era Golf Course gives us, there's no cost.
Yeah, your net's much better than any of the others, I know.
Quite a,
Yeah. But wouldn't it be nice to hold the
Well-
tournament in Menifee someday?
well, thank you. Maybe
Yeah.
I could put you in charge of that committee.
I got too much on my plate.
But it was your idea. And I'm like, Greg.
I'm an idea man.
Greg loves to delegate, so I'll delegate this to you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead and leave those with Kathy, and we'll get them out and can we call the next speaker?
Yes, Katie Manier.
It's a good service you do, Claudia. Thank you for all you do. I believe Mr. Leesmeyer made a statement that if you want the truth, you have to ask. Well, I have a few questions to ask, and I want answers by the next meeting. There never seem to be answers. You put distrust out there, so now we have to ask questions. What was the operating budget over the last 3 years? I would like to see that. How much is spent annually for catering for city employees, staff, council members, and developers that are allowed in the back room to enjoy before every city council or possibly planning commission meetings? This is taxpayer money being spent, and we have a right to know. What is the proper protocol for individuals hanging around the back room other than employees and elected officials such as developers and special interest groups? Then there's been some talk around town. I never like to listen to talk around town, but it's come to my attention that possibly, Mr. Denver, you had a pick for a planning commissioner, but you weren't allowed to pick the person you wanted. You were told by somebody else who to pick. I'd like to know if that's true and why you didn't stand on your own 2 feet to represent your constituents. We have 2 council members who have real estate licenses, which would make them liable if they failed to disclose information regarding property and any issues with said property. Would that be the reason the records for contaminated soil are not being requested from the county when I have asked many times for those records to be obtained? And we know that they are there because Julie Biggs, our former attorney, and Kathy Bennett stated that records that are for the health and safety of the public are still on disk and they have to be kept. And then, Matt, I understand you're a city cheerleader for endangering the public, promoting toxic rubber pellets for playgrounds. It isn't enough that you know about the sledge dumping for years and you're now worried about rubber pellets that contain many of the same components of sludge. Do your research. Every citizen should be outraged. There will be a letter sent to the Bureau of Real Estate putting them on notice that decades of toxic dumping have been done in this city and nothing's been disclosed to the public, yet thousands of homes and businesses have been built over the past 2 decades, and the city of Menifee has not done any due diligence to secure the documents, thus protecting the public. I read the rant in our wonderful newspaper, Menifee 24/7, from Kasem Klein, and I'll address him even though, unfortunately, he's not here tonight. He was stating that it's their property and they have every right to do what they want with it. Well, it is your land, you're right, and you do have rights to do things. But every time those tractor blades hit the ground, toxic matter is blowing in the wind, subjecting every family in this city to toxins. There are only 8 employees in this city that work here that live in this
Katie,
city.
that's your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Shane Spicer.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. I am on the Menifee Valley Little League Board, and I'm here representing the Little League to give you some information for our 25th anniversary. We are our sign-ups and our tryouts for our Little League divisions from T-ball through our senior division, including our challengers. And so we are pushing for a couple more sign-up dates. One is going to be this Saturday from 9 to 3 at Audie Murphy. We had tryouts and took advantage of that wonderful field last weekend. I'm also the pitcher for all the tryouts, so I was hanging for 2 days, needless to say. And we also are doing another sign-up. We extended our sign-ups for the following Saturday from 9 to 3 at Wheatfield as well. So that'll be the 31st. I highly encourage anybody that has or knows of anybody ages 4 to 16 to have them sign up for Little League. It's the best sport around. Right, Robert? And then finally, we do have our opening day, which will be March the 7th, and I believe our board has reached out to some of the council to see if there's opportunity for attendance. So we'll be having that at Wheatfield as well. So
I'll be there to throw out the first pitch.
perfect. And so as I mentioned, it's our 25th anniversary. We're trying to do it big this year. So I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any other information.
I did have a question. What was the percentage of increase of attendees for Little League this year?
We're still going through that. I believe we're probably on pace to do what we did last year.
Which
as far
was?
as, that was in the 400 to 500 kid count.
Okay.
So, and those are all local kids. Like we don't no travel ball teams.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I think Mr. Lennox would take issue about it being the greatest sport since he
Yeah.
was a professional soccer player. Yeah.
So it's-
Next speaker, please.
That's all the speakers that have turned in slips.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are on to council member reports on committee activities. Anyone?
I have none except for they take my orientation next week for RCA on Wednesday, so I'll be starting
Marvelous.
that committee.
And I believe we had a couple council members who attended the League Academy. Did
I'll be glad to talk about that. We went up for most of 3 days up to Sacramento. It was a good, for me, it was a renewal of the rules about how to be a councilman and what the laws are and all the details. You really get down into the weeds and figure it all out. It was really good. We got to spend some time with our newest council member and get to actually talk to him and figure him out and such. It was
You
Rob.
figured me out.
I figured him out,
Oh, boy.
and he maybe figured us out or not. And it was enjoyable. It was incredible amount of sitting and listening and working on that. It was very long days, but I thought it was very useful.
Thank you, Mr. Denver. Would you have anything to add, Mr. Leesmeyer?
Yeah, I would echo the sentiment. I mean, a lot of the information regarding ethics and things like that you learn on the planning commission, and having been on the planning commission for so long, it was more like a refresher. There was a lot of interesting details about the budget and how the actual budget really does work. So definitely an eye opener in some regards, but it was also a great opportunity to get to know Mr. Denver a little bit better, as well as our city manager. So I gratefully appreciate the opportunity to do that. And I think that it should definitely be a tradition to at least include the city manager with at least a council member or two every year to do that, whenever the opportunity arises.
Excellent, thank you. This morning, Councilmember August and I hosted the first Mayor's Business Roundtable of 2015, and we had bankers and financial services firms in here. It was it's a joint event hosted by the city and the Chamber of Commerce. Mr. August, would you like to say a couple words about this morning?
I would, I was going to let you go ahead and do it, Mayor, because I knew you'd probably give me a compliment, but I'm going to,
I
at
will.
the same time, I'm going to give you a compliment because it was the mayor that invited me to go to the meeting, and my portion of the meeting really evolved around the plaza in Sun City, but there were other issues around the city where we did discuss. So we had a pretty healthy and deliberative and positive discussion about some ideas the city has about the plaza down there. And Mr. Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that, but I want to give you credit for calling the people together and having the conversation take place regarding that.
Thank you, Mr. August, and I'm going to reciprocate that compliment because it was your idea to have the meeting be a focus of the Sun City core area, business stimulation, revitalization, and really, the bankers in the room were excited, and I think our economic development director, who's probably watching in the back, but Mr. Johnson was there, Mr. August was there, and there was an energy in the room about how they can partner with us and with local businesses to actually increase their lending practices and maybe extend some business loans to those who would like to expand in the Cherry Hills Plaza and elsewhere. So it was very, very productive, and there's going to be a follow-up with that specific group on those topics. Also, we have 3 more mayor business roundtables scheduled, one with the realtors again, one with the manufacturing businesses in the city, and then with the commercial development community, and those will be the next 3. And as past practice, we'll be inviting a council member to each one of those as well. Also, last weekend, we had Mr. August and I and Mr. Denver, we attended the Menifee Crime Watch installation, and it was a good event, and we look forward to that each year. It was a sad event, though, too. We lost some good volunteers with that organization, and I'll mention them here in just a moment. But I did want to share that we also lost a stalwart in the Sun City area. Many of you know Art Froelich. He passed away this month, and Art is well known in the community. He's been around here for a very, very long time. He's a veteran of World War II. He's a veteran specifically of Operation Overlord, and if you know your history, that's the D-Day invasion. He was in the Army Air Corps, and ironically, we just put up his veteran banner in Sun City Core. So keep him in your thoughts tonight as we honor him in memory. And we're also going to honor the following Crime Watch volunteers who passed away earlier this year. Hazel Wolf, Sharon Kessler, Dwayne Baker, and Mr. Crime Watch himself, Walter Maynard. And so tonight, with those being recognized, we're going to, when we adjourn, we're going to adjourn the meeting in honor of those 5 community members and for their years of service. Mr. August.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for doing that.
Absolutely. On to the consent calendar. We have a couple items on consent. Is there any modifications to consent tonight? If not, I'll take a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed the second.
Mr. Leesmeyer.
Oh, thank you. Councilmember August.
Aye.
Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Denver. Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank you.
We have no public hearings tonight. On to discussion items. Agenda item 12.1, ordinance number 15-162, amending chapter 1301 of section 250 of the Menifee Municipal Code. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Robert Lennox, Community Services Director, will have the balance of 12.1 and 12.2.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, members of council. As you mentioned, this is a proposed amendment to Municipal Code, Chapter 13.01, Section 250. On May 21st, City Council adopted Ordinance 2014-146, which added the chapter to the Municipal Code. This code established the regulations for park use, specifically hours of operation, within Section 250.A. The chapter explicitly limited the hours essentially from dawn to dusk each day. On the 13th of November, the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission received public comment from a resident near E.L. Peterson Park who had some concerns about the volume and activity of the park just before dawn, in particular on weekends. near the dog park. Additionally, on December 17th, the same community member came to City Council and shared public comment, same concern, and as a result, staff was given direction to go back and examine the municipal code to see if any adjustments could be made to better assist the community. As a result, the amended code is attached to the staff report, and the meat of it is essentially that administratively allowing the staff through the city manager, authorizing the city manager or his or her designee to administratively modify use hours as needed for specific facilities and amenities within parks for the benefit of public health, safety, or general well-being without reestablishment by ordinance or code amendment. That's essentially the heart of it. If approved and at the second reading, staff will then go back and create signage for the park, limiting dog park use hours from 7 a.m. until dusk to allow the community members a little bit more time to sleep in. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Is there a motion to introduce and approve first reading? Mr. August motioned. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Leesmeyer, roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Denver. Councilmember August. And Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you, both staff and the public and the Parks and Recs and Trails Commission on this. That's good work.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I could just interrupt, I apologize. Do I take your motion to have included the scheduling of the second reading for February 4th,
Yes.
2015?
That was Mr. August's motion.
Thank you.
Agenda item 12.2, ordinance number 15-163, amending chapter 2.30, section 080 of the Menifee Municipal Code. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, similar to the last item, this is an amendment to Menifee Municipal Code 2.30. As you recall, the original code established the creation of a Park Recreation and Trails Commission, and in that code, it also created the frequency of the meetings, which is currently set at one time per month, occurring, I believe, on the fourth Thursday of each month. Recently, actually not recently, since the commission's creation, the commission chair has expressed some desire to meet twice a month in order to conduct the business of the commission. On the 18th of December, the Park Recreation and Trails Commission discussed this item at the request of the chair with an interest to meet twice a month, and after some discussion, the commission did support the recommendation to council. They cited an increase due to or in light of the recently approved Park Trails and Open Space and Recreation Master Plan study. Staff did let them know during that meeting, though, that the commission, while there will be increased activity as a result of the study and also outreach to the community, it would not necessarily coincide with the meeting dates, the set meeting dates. Those would be at the availability of the community as well as availability of the consultant. Despite that, they did support it. Commission, though, does have the alternative to meet on a special meeting basis, which would not require any amendment to the municipal code. If approved, or if approved during second reading, the staff would also request an allocation expenditure increase from the general fund to support the additional stipends that would be generated by meeting twice a month in the amount that's included in the staff report. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Question? Mr. August?
Just a quick question. You might have already mentioned this, but as far as the authorization of these increased meetings, they wouldn't be permanent if you're going to create an ordinance over it. Would that not be permanent, or is this just on an as-needed until no longer needed basis?
Similar to the Planning Commission's current meeting schedule, it would be permanent. If there was not enough content for those meetings, we would have to issue cancellations for them.
Thank you.
I think it's a wise recommendation that came out. There's a lot of work to do in our city with Parks, Recs, and Trails, and I think giving the flexibility to have additional meetings and codify that. I think that's the right decision to make. And then, as you've stated, there's not enough business on the agenda, it just simply gets canceled. Is there any other comments?
I would agree, so I'll make the motion to go ahead and introduce the first reading.
Would you modify your motion to include all three recommended actions as presented?
Certainly, and schedule the second reading as well as approve the general fund allocation.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. August. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you, that was very thorough. Mayor Pro Tem Denver. Councilmember August. Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Aye.
And Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank you.
On to, wow, I can't believe we're finally here with this one. Mr. Johnson. 12.3, approve authorization for staff to assume the responsibilities and oversight for LLM&Ds and in District 89-1 consolidated and for the landscape zones and lighting zone areas that are presently within the city of Menifee.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a staff report? I know, I'm already there. I
That
have.
would be, I think, the fastest motion in approval because at one point we had to walk to the podium, so
This is
that
one
would
of
be the
those,
fastest.
this is one of those final transition things from
It
the
is.
county to, not final, but it's one of the things that we've been waiting on for a very long
And
time.
quite frankly, we could have put this on consent, but we thought that ceremoniously it probably needed to have a little bit of a staff report. Jonathan's and his group have worked 18 months to get to the point where we're at now. And you'll see through the presentation, should you choose to see it, that there are a lot of zones and there's a lot of work that went into rectifying an interesting funding source that actually the city obtained at incorporation. But similar to our parks on the west side, we continue to contract with the county to operate this LNLMD for us. So if you would like the staff report, I'd be happy to turn it over to
I will withdraw my motion so we can
to
hear the
Mr.
staff.
Smith.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
please
Mr. Smith.
proceed.
Thank you, City Manager. I promise it's short. I'll give you a quick overview here. Also, at the end of my presentation, I'll be able to answer any of your questions. Shane Spicer from Webb Associates, who's our consultant, will assist me in answering any of the technical questions that I'm unable to answer for you. So, when the city incorporated, the county continued, as the city manager said, to maintain certain areas of responsibility as a quasi-contractor to the city. A couple examples of this is with our West Side Park administration under the former CSAs and the administration of the L and LMD 89-1C. The maintenance contracts for the L and LMD 89-1C for the landscape zone and lighting zone areas within the city of Menifee boundaries have historically been administered by the Riverside County Transportation Department. The city has been working, again, for 18 months to transition this administration to the city. The City Council has requested that the administration of the LNLMD contracts performed by the county be brought in-house to allow city staff to administer. This would provide the city with better control of the work product and respond quicker to issues of landscaping, water runoff and efficiency, streetlight outages, and other factors affecting the zones throughout the city limits. And I'm proud to say that the Public Works Department is prepared to take over these duties February 1st, 2015. Here's a list of the various zones that are within 89-1C that we'll be responsible for. They include landscape and drainage facility maintenance zones, street lighting zones. District-wide, there's 945,257 square feet, which is about 21.7 acres of irrigated and landscaped area. Engineers like numbers. 43 water meters that EMWD will be maintaining, and 101 street lights that are currently maintained by Edison for us. Key statistics for the zone include a lot of landscaped area, but interesting to note that there's 2,250 trees that will now be responsible for taking care of.
Can you stop for just a
I
second?
sure can.
Thank you. Back to the previous slide, the 101 public street lights maintained by Southern California Edison, we're going to get a presentation from WRCOG on a potential way to transfer ownership of those to the city, right?
That is
Yes.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
This is an overall map showing the zones, which it's hard to see. I'm going to zoom in on some of these areas. This is the north section. You see the various zones. This is the west section of the city, many zones there. Here's the east side and south section. So in summary, 4 of the zones, the contracts expire on June 30th, 2015, and another 4 of the contracts expire June 30th, 2019. Staff will discuss assuming the contracts with the contractor to make sure that service is not interrupted. And afterwards, we're going to evaluate going out to bid again to make sure that we get the contracts with the items that we feel are necessary to have in those contracts. It'll enable the city to better control the level of service received from the contractors and tailor the contracts to our needs. The annual budget for last year, 2015, was $799,695. The city will begin receiving assessment funds twice annually directly from the county auditor, controller. First installment is due January 19th to the 23rd, 2015. Second installment, May, between the 18th and 22nd. County will transfer reserve account funds February 1st, 2015. They'll hold 5 to 10% for final invoices to cover the balances on any outstanding invoices from contractors that are currently working. The city will have financial control over the district assessment and receive funds.
May I ask a question
Yeah.
of the finance director? Since these are assessments, and I know this is just the first year, we're in a transition phase, but at some point in the future, would we be able to make a decision? Would these funds be subject to a teeter plan where we can level load the disbursements over the 12-month period? Or do we have to take it in 2 semi-annual installments?
From my understanding, I think we will receive them in 2 installments. So,
To clarify, yeah, correct. The county does not, Riverside County does not let the special districts go on to a teeter
Okay,
program.
thank you. All right.
This next slide shows the zones and the contractor that's currently maintaining each zone, which is Inland Empire. This lists the tentative action plan and date of action that we'll be following to close out the transfer. Staff recommends that council approve authorization for staff to assume the zones listed below for L and LMD 89-1C. And assume the responsibilities and oversight for the maintenance contracts. That ends my presentation. If you have any other questions, Shane and I are available to answer them.
Any additional questions?
I just want,
Mr. August?
I should have asked you this today, Jonathan, but how much additional work or any additional personnel required once we take over maintenance?
Currently, with the staff that we have, we can adequately take care of manage these duties.
By assuming this action, taking these over, do we fill in some of the holes that we had in some of our neighborhoods where they weren't being assessed, and so therefore they weren't being maintained? Did we close all those gaps is my question.
Shane can answer that.
Yeah, through the administrative process of taking on the districts from the enrollments, we did do an audit and fill in the gaps of those missing assessments. As Mr. Smith had mentioned, we'll be able to also then ensure that there's proper service being provided on those properties as well. There are a few zones that were not being assessed as development and stalled out, and we'll be monitoring those for time to include them into future levy assessments. But we did fix a lot of the holes.
Okay, thank you very much. Hearing no additional questions.
Quick question.
Yeah, Mr. Leesmeyer.
So, Jonathan, you said that this isn't going to impact staff. I assume that this is all going to be subcontract?
Well, it will impact staff's workload. We'll manage the contracts, and we have contract landscape inspector that'll be assisting us in watching over the contractors.
And we go over that contract once a year? How does that work
I'm sorry, which contract?
for this LLMD? To handle the extra work on the LLMDs?
Well, the administration of all the contracts will be done in-house by us. We have a landscape contractor that we have on as a professional service agreement, and that's an annual process. The landscape contractors are ending, looked like about four of those contracts are ending in 15, so we will be looking to rebid and get a contractor. We try to do that between 5 and 7 years. Every 5 to 7 years is probably a typical process. Knowing that, rates and inflation and prices rise over time, but really it's our responsibility as a city and municipal government to do an RFP and get those re-released. So there's one contractor, Inland Empire Landscape, I believe, that holds all the contracts right now. It may be that when we do an RFP that we get several contractors who are willing to do it for the same price, which is my preference, because if somebody disappears, you got a backup, much like our graffiti contractor that disappeared on us right now. So.
The reason I ask is because, obviously we've taken on a significantly larger workload. Whatever contractor we might have now might not have anticipated that workload, so now we're looking at potential change orders and things like that. So I just wanna make sure
No change orders. We're doing contract for contract, and it's based on exactly 89-1 consolidated. So that contractor is contracted for that work with that scope of work.
Awesome.
So we're assuming that contract, and then we're going to rebid that process out.
Okay, thanks.
Would you like to offer your motion again?
I make a motion that we approve and authorize the staff to assume this responsibility.
Second?
We have a second by Mr. Denver. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember August.
Aye.
Councilmember Leesmeyer.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Denver. Mayor Mann.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Well done to staff. It's been a long process for that. It's a good thing that we're taking that over. City Attorney reports. Mr. Melching.
Nothing this week, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson, City Manager report.
Thank you. I too need to report out of Sacramento. I did attend the new mayors and new council members workshop seminar with Mr. Leesmeyer and Mr. Denver. I thought the league did a real good job of repackaging that event. I went 2 years ago with Mr. August and I believe Mr. Denver. And what they had done previously, and Mr. Mann, I believe you went as well as the newly elected first-time mayor, they had set up the 3-day event with options. You could go to this, or this at the same time period. And what they did this time that I thought was a lot more beneficial is they just repackaged it all so that you stayed in one room and everybody heard the same information. And I think that was a real big key for me. So instead of going to city council, city manager relationships, or social media, or how to talk to the press, all three of those were packaged into one event that was an hour and a half to 2 hours long. So it was a long 3 days. I also need to report out that I did attend the California League of Cities State Policy Committee that I was appointed to for Communications, Transportation, and Public Works. That was on Friday. Some alarming statistics came out about the statewide roads and the disrepair that they're in. We talked briefly several months ago about our pavement condition index, and statewide it's at 66, which is not good. On a scale of 100, that would be a D. It would take $3.7 billion statewide to get that PCI to 84. I don't know who picked 84, because 84 is a very good number. And Jonathan's smiling. But it would take $3.3 billion, this is annually, forever, to keep the statewide road system at a 66. A couple of interesting points came out in the discussion that the gas tax, which was put into effect about 20 years ago, is 18 cents a gallon. That 18 cents now is worth about 9 cents. So there's a lot of factors that go into that, not just the barrel prices of oil, but the inflation over time, and the new technologies that's out there with the new cars and the new automation with the electric vehicles and alternative fuel vehicles, so which drives that price down. How does that all affect us? Well, it means we're getting less money with the same amount to do more with. And this policy committee is working on a couple of different ideas, one of which most people won't be happy about, and that's raising the gas tax. But some other things that the committee talked about were 20,000-pound axle limits on buses, oil running up and down railroad cars, and how to protect that from contamination and stuff. So very interesting committee. There's about 66 people on that committee. So it was from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday, and there will be some more information that I can disseminate to your council boxes early next week.
Any discussion on vehicle miles traveled tax getting any legs in this state?
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I was going to skip that, but I'm glad you brought it up. They're rebranding and renaming vehicle miles traveled to road miles driven.
Remember that.
So
Still
if you
a
start here,
tax.
road miles driven, it's the same thing as vehicle miles tax, and that's getting some legs. The policy committee didn't address it. We all kind of looked sideways at it when they changed the terminology, because as you know, the longer you talk about negative terminology, the faster you change it to a different terminology so that you have to relearn it.
So VMT is now RMD.
VMT is RMD. The last item that I have is a reminder that our rural business workshop is January 26th, which is Monday. It is at 6 o'clock, just to make sure. So we're going to be doing a press release to make sure that the rural business community gets that information, and we'll be here. We've spent the last 9 months meeting once or twice a month with the rural business community and staff. And we think we have a really good presentation, which we will present as a staff presentation, and then the folks from the rural business community will get to present their side, and we'll just kind of go from there. I think it's going to be a great sharing of information that we've gathered, and quite frankly, we've been able to reach out, and they've been able to come, and we've been able to have very good discussions over the last 9 months. So we're looking forward to that.
Nicely done.
That concludes my comments.
Mr. Denver.
Some people might not be able to come to that. Is that going to be recorded and put on our internet?
Yes, it's a public meeting, so we'll have that recorded.
Thank you.
Marvelous. Council member comments and agenda items. Mr. August.
Quick, there's a rumor floating around Sun City in the core area that we have made arrangements with California Golf and Arts to build homes on the golf course west of Pebble Beach and up along the higher street up there. Would you please let everybody know, Mr. City Manager, that we have entered into no plans to allow California Golf and Arts to build any houses on the California Arts and Golf Course?
You are correct in what you've stated. There is nothing factual about that information. Secondarily, there would be a huge public process if that ever were to occur, which it has not. And nobody has come to the city expressing an interest in doing that. So hopefully that will lay where it is.
But the challenge becomes is when the owners of the organization resurrect the idea by putting conceptual artist designs on their walls inside the clubhouse, and patrons who go golf see that. That's how those rumors get started again. And I don't know if we can engage and help in a campaign to say, look, no application for that has come forward to the city at all.
Correct. If I could make one further comment, just to make sure that it's all out there. Jeff Wyman and I did meet with Peter Sun of the golf course itself, and we had some ideas on how he could revitalize the golf course. He may have some ideas about what he wants to build, but we didn't really see any viability in any of that. And there was no application and no submittal of anything. So if he's got drawings on his walls, we may have seen them, haven't agreed to anything, and quite frankly, it seems a long way off. What we would like to see is him put some time, energy, and effort into revitalizing the golf course that we think could be a hidden jewel of Sun City if they revitalize that.
Thank you very much. Any other additional comments from the council? Any future agenda item requests? We are adjourned.